For years, one thing's made Android different: freedom. The freedom to install whatever app you wanted from wherever you got it. That freedom created a massive ecosystem of innovation where anyone with a great idea could build something and share it with the world. But now, under the banner of security, Google is getting ready to change the rules. They're rolling out new developer verification requirements designed to give them the final say on who can make the apps you install, potentially gutting the open Android we all know. And here's how Google plans to take control. Google recently announced a policy that sent shockwaves through the Android community. Starting in 2026, they'll begin blocking the installation of any app from an unverified developer on certified Android devices, which basically means most of your phones and your TV boxes that are all authentically certified from Google, which means your NVIDIA Shield, your ONN box, a whole bunch of them. This isn't just about the Play Store, though. This new mandate applies to apps you download from a website and get from a friend, or even install through an alternate app store. So how are they going to pull this off? Well, it's a two-pronged attack on developer anonymity. First, every single developer, from huge companies to a student tinkering in their dorm room, will have to verify their identity with Google. For individuals, this means handing over your legal name, address, phone number, and sometimes even government ID. For organizations, it's tougher. Requirements are business documents and DUNS numbers, which formulate a business identifier. Second, once a developer is verified, they have to register their app's package name and signing keys with Google from then on. Only apps signed by a developer who has passed this identifying check can be installed on a certified Android phone or TV box. If you try to install an app from an anonymous, unverified source, you'll just get an error message, and that's it. While Google hasn't revealed the exact technical details of how they'll block these installs at the OS level yet, the intent is clear. To be clear, this doesn't mean sideloading's completely dead, but almost. You can still install apps from outside the Play Store, but only if the developer has gone through Google's verification process. And I mean, let's face it, what small developer that's just tinkering in their garage or in their bedroom is going to go through that verification process and pay money to be verified with Google to install apps on an operating system that's supposed to be open source? And make no mistake, I firmly believe part of the plan was to try to destroy the underground streaming, underground gaming, and gaming emulation industry that goes through the sideloading abilities in Android. So with doing this, Google's eliminating a lot of their competition. So what does this really mean for you? It means the Android you chose, the one that defined itself against Apple's walled garden approach, is building its own set of walls. The principle of sideloading was a statement of user freedom. It was the feature that power users and privacy advocates had championed for years as Android's defining trait. This isn't just a minor tweak, it's a fundamental shift in philosophy. The beauty of the old system was its permissionless nature. It allowed for an explosion of software that would never have survived in a curated app store. Think about who gets hit the hardest by this. Modded apps like YouTube Advanced, which offers features like ad blocking, will find itself almost impossible to exist. Their developers rely on anonymity for good reason. Forcing them to tie their real-world identity to an app that messes with Google's main revenue stream is a death sentence. What about niche software? Projects like Dolphin Emulator, born from open source collaborations where developers contribute anonymously. They're caught in the crossfire. Every single contributor now expected to dox themselves to Google just to push out a new build. That goes against the very spirit of open source. And then you have the alternative app stores like F-Droid or Aptoid. They're a bastion of freedom and open source software where piracy is king. Well, this new policy puts them in a very tough spot. While the store itself won't be blocked, its entire model is based on hosting apps from developers who often choose to be anonymous. Soon it won't be able to distribute those apps to a vast majority of Android users. threatening the existence of a truly independent app ecosystem. For years, Android TV users have used sideloading to install streaming apps and tools that aren't in the Play Store, unlocking their hardware's true potential. Many of those apps come from small independent developers who might not want to go through a corporate verification process. Their work will be blocked. The message is clear. You may own the hardware, but Google controls the software. Of course, Google's entire argument for this unprecedented move is built on one word: security. They'll point to stats claiming that side-loaded apps are responsible for far more malware than the Play Store apps. And look, nobody wants malware. Who can argue with more security? But let's pull back the curtain on this argument, because it feels a lot like smokescreen. Android already has multiple layers of security. Google Play Protect scans every app you install, no matter where it came from, and warns you about or even blocks harmful apps. So if a system is already in place to scan malicious code, why the sudden need to verify a person behind the code? Google's own analogy gives the game away. They compare it to an ID check at an airport. Saying it's about confirming identity, not screening bags, exactly. This isn't about what the apps do. It's about who the developer is. This isn't just about security, it's about accountability and control. So what's the real motive? It seems to be a mix of three things: control, revenue, weakening the competition. First, control. By forcing every developer to register, Google becomes the gatekeeper for the entire Android ecosystem, not just its own store. They get a master list of every developer and every app. They can deny or revoke verification at will, effectively erasing a developer from the ecosystem of billions. That's a staggering amount of centralized power. Second, revenue. Let's be honest, what kind of apps thrive with anonymous sideloading? Ad blockers and clients that bypass YouTube's ads are high on that list. These apps directly challenge Google's core business model by removing the anonymity that protects these developers. Google is protecting the bottom line. This isn't just about stopping malware. It's about stopping anything that threatens their income. Finally, this move weakens the competition. There's alternative app stores out there like F-Droid and Aptoid, but are they a meaningful challenge to the Play Store's monopoly? By creating a bureaucratic hurdle that every developer has to clear with Google first, it makes these alternative platforms less viable. After all, if you have to register with Google anyway, why not just publish the app to the App Store? It's a subtle push that herds everyone back into Google's walled garden. This new policy puts independent hobbyists and open source developers in a really tough spot. The spirit of creating something for the community and sharing it freely is being choked by corporate red tape. Imagine you're a privacy-focused developer whose whole philosophy is about decentralization and anonymity. Now, to share your work, you have to hand over your personal information, your legal name, your home address, to one of the biggest data gathering companies on the planet. For many, that's a deal breaker. They'll just abandon their project, and the Android ecosystem will be poorer for it. Google says it will create a less burdensome process for students and hobbyists, but the details are still completely vague. Will there be an installation limit? Will it still require some form of ID? It feels like a hollow promise meant to soften the blow. Let's not forget the risk of getting it wrong. We all heard horror stories of developers getting their Play Store accounts banned by an algorithm with no explanation and no human to appeal it. Now imagine that same faceless judgment being applied to the entire Android app world. A false flag or a simple glitch could stop your app from being installed by anyone. The only people unaffected are those using uncertified devices or custom ROMs, without Google services. But let's be real, that's a tiny fraction of the market and not a practical option for the average person. For over 3 billion users, the walls are closing in. So if I wanted a phone or an Android device to be that way, I would just run Apple. So at the end of the day, will this push more people that are running Android into an Apple device, or what's going to happen? All we can do is wait and see, because there's a lot of question marks on this whole situation still that we have to find out about. But definitely we're at a crossroads for Android. The battle line isn't between security and danger, it's between control and freedom. Google is using the real fear of malware as a Trojan horse to build a system with total oversight. They are changing the fundamental deal they made with users and developers years ago, turning an open ecosystem into a tightly controlled corporate territory. The irony is unavoidable. In its quest to control, Google is making Android more like the very system it always defined itself against. But this isn't a done deal. The full global rollout isn't scheduled to be finished until 2027, which means there's time to make our voices heard. This is why I make this video. I want you all to know the circumstances and the situation we're in with Android, where we have this open source free community that we're able to do all these great things. We're in danger of that completely going away. We have to try, at least, to come together as a community to, make our voices heard. So hopefully Android gives us some kind of option. Problem is I don't think that's going to happen. At least we can try. So what do you think? Are these new verification rules a necessary step for user protection, or are they an overreach that restricts the devices we own? Is this the end of Android's openness as we know it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you found this analysis important, share it with someone who cares about the freedom of their technology, and make sure you subscribe for more updates as the story develops. The future of the world's largest operating system is hanging in the balance.